everybody. I'm Greg Stewart, and welcome to Stewing the Pot. And today we're going to talk about a couple of different things, but I first would like to start with traveling. It's the summertime. A lot of us tend to travel in the summertime, myself included. And one of the big concerns that I'm getting a lot with my coaching clients, because a lot will postpone their time of seeing me because they are traveling. But a couple of them in particular are really concerned about the travel ban. A couple of the places they are going are in the Western Caribbean, and they have cruises planned. And one particular country they're concerned about was Haiti because it goes along the Caribbean shores, and that's one of the stops. And they said, "What do I do? My cruise company did not call me, and I'm really concerned because Haiti was on the list in reference to banning because of terrorism." Now, of course, the normal thing to say to someone is call, the company and see what they have to say about this. But I really think it comes down to a gut feeling for you, a gut feeling in reference to you have to be comfortable. If you're second guessing yourself, if you have some doubt, then maybe seeing if you can get the trip to a different location, maybe spend more time in the Keys, maybe go to Mexico if you feel that it's not as alarming there, though it may be because Trump has already listed that Mexico does harbor terrorists as well as Haiti. But there's always a way, and you can utilize that. I told my client, you could utilize the fear factor, you can utilize the travel ban on why you want your cruise changed, or maybe even leave the cruise or postpone it to another time as well. So this is one area that I would love you to comment on. And there's going to be several things, but does this affect you this summer? Does this affect you in a way that you're concerned or not at all? I feel that we're pretty well protected. And the only reason why I bring this up is because some of the things that in the hidden areas of news that our local news channels sometimes don't tell us is about the crimes that are going on out there. Not too long ago, some people went into Mexico to surf, never to be found again. And you can search and find little things like this that are hidden that you don't hear. And I get it. I grew up in Long Island, and whenever there was a threat of a shark, we had a Long Island newspaper called Newsday, and then you had the New York City Daily News. And the bigger area was you would never really see, if you did, it was very small, but you never really had seen the area in reference to a shark, only in the bigger paper. So when tourists would come into town, they really had no idea that there was a shark threat or anything. So people would go about their business and come into town, and knock on wood, at least I've never read nor seen that there was some concern that someone got hurt, this, that, or what, from a shark. But going back to you, does this affect you? Does this affect you in a way for your future plans, your vacation? And again, a lot of people say, well, life happens and you have to enjoy life. You cannot let fear rule you. And that is a good point. That is a good point too. I always believe in living your best life when you can, but you also want to take the repercussions. You also want to take the resources, I mean, in reference to building yourself to be safe. I'm all about safety. It's one of the reasons why I do the work I do, is to help people find safe ways to have the breakthroughs and outcomes that they want. But what about you? Does this particular subject affect you? All right, well, let's move on to a different subject. Let's talk about something that's been huge all last week as well, the Diddy trial. This has been a big thing for people, and now the celebrities are coming out onto the case. I don't know if they'll be in the courtroom, but from what I read, starting this week, you have talks about Leonardo DiCaprio, you have talks about Madonna, and maybe even his previous relationships with Jennifer Lopez. So exciting time if you are keeping up with the case. I know right now the defense felt that they had a big win in reference to this case because they had proven that the one witness was lying on the stand. And the one thing I've noticed, here's a trend that I've noticed with P. Diddy's attorneys, is that they're constantly, at least I've heard now 3 times, that they want a mistrial, that this person's doing this, that this person's doing that. And I get it. It's an easy way out to try to end this case, but I don't think the judge wants to be responsible unless you have something more concrete. Then that's what your job is to do. If I was a judge, your job is to show the jury that they're lying. That, look, I can break them because they're not telling the truth, which you did your job. Should you get a mistrial for that? I'd love to hear what you think about that. That should someone get a mistrial because you did your job and you broke them and you found out that they were lying, hence this case. Another topic, we're going into Elon Musk versus Trump. Elon Musk versus Trump. Here was a big thing. This bill, ego versus ego, alpha versus alpha. And I guess the public spoken because all of a sudden it sounds like Elon is running with his tail between his legs. You correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but he's running with his tail between his legs. And it looks like he wants to kind of meet with Trump because I'm losing $34 billion right now. I've lost $34 billion in reference to this war of words, and who knows how far it gone in reference to the Oval Office, but it's definitely showing in the public and social world. $34 billion is a lot to lose. I don't care if you are the richest man in the world, and he's paying the price. And Trump said, "There's nothing more for we can talk about. It is what it is." So, Godspeed. But another interesting topic. Are you happy with what the administration, that also leads me into this. Are you happy with where things are? I can tell you that a lot of the people that I coach are not. They said, by now, I thought gas would be down. I thought food would be lower. One of my clients the other day said, "Hey, I went, normally I would pay $4.69 a year ago for a 6-inch sub." And they said, "You know what I paid? $7.69. He goes, "In 1 year, that half of sub, half of a ruler with minute amount of meat, more bread than anything, went up $3. So, are you happy? Do you say, well, no, you know what? He has a plan, and he emphasized that this plan was going to take a little time, and that once it does, that the funding will go down in your pocket, meaning you will pay less at the pump, you will pay less at the market." Okay, where's the timetable? That's all, like, I've been referencing to, if it is going to get lower, if it is going to go down, is there a timetable? I think the American people would love to know that, to get the help on that. Just tell me when. So, again, how is this affecting you? Does it concern you? But I also would like to add, what is it that the president has done right now? Maybe you don't like some of those things I brought up. Maybe they do contribute to some of the things of why you're struggling or just not believing or drinking the Kool-Aid on it. Whether you supported and you wanted Harris or Trump, and now we have President Trump. Okay, what do you support? What do you support that has been happening now? Do you like what's going on at the border? Despite the LA riots that we recently had, do you think that contributed to the riots? Because Mexico, at least the cartel, had made a statement that, hey, you know what? You're coming after us. You're putting destroyers out in the ocean, pointing on both regions of Mexico, both areas of our borders. There, these ships out there to whether scare us or what. I don't know how the cartel is technically thinking, but they did make the threat, emphasizing that you do this and cities in America are going to be attacked. And you have been seeing certain things happen in reference to LA and other cities. Where are they related? Now, um, there have been more deportations I just read recently. There have been other things, despite a judge trying to bring back someone back so they can see trial, go to trial. But up until, are you happy at least with something like that? Trying to keep drugs out, or doesn't affect me. I could care less. I don't do drugs, so it doesn't affect me. All right, but what about the other things? Because here's the thing, and I don't want to say they're related, but there has just recently been a study, and I don't know how you feel about this, but how Trump or his administration is going to find this. And this, I think, goes not only internationally, but domestic here in this country as well, because crimes have been up. Crimes have been up in every area. And one area I want to connect on in particular is rapes. And the reason why I say that is because the most recent thing I read is that rape kit backlog. What does that mean? A recent investigation of rape kits have revealed that over 100,000 kits were untested, and agencies are now working to address the backing. So, what happens to these people? What happens to these people? 100,000, and it's probably a lot more. They're probably being nice to not panic us, but it is a panic because there's all these people out there that were raped, and now are their cases on hold? Do those people get away with this because the rape kit, you have nothing that shows that this person went through this trauma? I mean, what exactly does this mean? And why are we utilizing agencies that don't structure and file these things appropriately for when a case goes to trial? So this is concerning. This is concerning. I know we went from Trump administration, but to me, this is part of the administration. If it was your kid, if it was your family member, it was someone you want your government to be doing what it needs to do. I had a friend recently that was trying to make a report on some fraud that he's seen where he works. He called his state department. He called the State Department and spoke to four different people. Oh, we're going to do this and we're going to know that do that. We actually know the company owner that you're talking about. So, oh yes, and this person, he said, actually mentioned the owner's name. He goes, I only gave you the company. And the lady literally said, oh, I have a relationship with him. He is now called for over a month, close to 2 months, to try to find out. He says, I have documentation, I have witnesses. Are you going to help stop this fraud in this company that I formerly used to work at? He has been ignored on every level. He has gone through every chain in the state to find out who else he can go to go around. Each department said, we cannot help you. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. And this is why I bring up the administration. I know like Trump has bigger fish to fry, but even in your personal state, you have governors. He was like, do I call the governor? This is what they told him. Call your surgeon general and leave a complaint about this particular department. What is this going to do? Stop smokers? The surgeon generally said, really? So again, how does this affect you? Have you been going through something and trying to go through the proper channels and you're not getting what you need because someone is not doing their job? Or is this the new status quo? It's just a job. I don't see you. I don't care. It doesn't affect me. I'll just put your paperwork in and that's it, because that's what it seems to be. Okay, I want to move on to another subject in reference to video games. And you might be thinking, oh, great, he's going to bash video games. Actually, quite the opposite. Studies have proven that people that play video games actually build up a confidence within themselves. And I want you to picture this. I want you to imagine this for a moment. Imagine someone with very low self-esteem, maybe even overweight. And now we're at summer, but during the school year, this child, your kid, your teenager is going, and they're not the most popular. And so they go to school and they're picked on and they're picked on. And the reason why I bring this up, I had a client one time and she was emphasizing, like, I'm really pissed at my kid. They don't socialize. I go, are they a bad student? No, my son is a phenomenal student. And I said, okay, your son is a phenomenal student, but he's not social. I want him to do more social activities at school. I'm ready to take away his video game. And I told her this study. I said, well, studies have shown that kids that are not popular in school, that are under peer pressures to fit in, video games help them fit in. And she said, what do you mean? And I said, when they're playing a video game, 9 out of 10 times, the person on the other side hears their voice and maybe even sees them, but they don't look at them whether they're overweight or what, because they're contributing in the video game. And that video game means a lot to both parties, to all parties. And what that does in turn is It makes them feel like the superhero that they wanted to be, the human being, the superhero, the identity that they wanted to be, because they were always shunned. They were always shunned by others. And in this case, they can actually feel better about themselves. Studies have proven this. Now people do everything digital, but I went into a GameStops a couple of years back and I said, wow, how do these kids afford these games? And the guy told me, and this was years ago, you could only imagine now, he says, our biggest, consumers, our biggest clients are not kids. And I said, well, who are they? He goes, you're adults like you. And I said, why do you think that is? And he was the one that actually introduced me originally to the study. He says, it's a great way. And I want you to hear this. And this is why I do support video games, to release stress. You can be a superhero among your peers, among your friends where you didn't fit in. You're now fitting in. And this can build confidence. And I know it's a double-edged sword. I'm not saying let your kid play for 6, 7 hours, because if you listen to Gary Brecka, he believes that that also forms addiction, and addiction could lead not only from video games to something else. So I do agree with that. Do get them out, but it's also in your presentation. It's also in reference to how to get them out. And ask yourself this, are you ready to go and do something with them? Are you ready to, if you want them out, don't just say point to the door and get out. Become active in their life. And by doing that, you're building a relationship with them and you're getting them off the video game, as well. At least I know that works well in my house, because after hearing Gary Brecka, and if you're not familiar with Gary, please look him up, because he has some very informative things to say. Now, he's not saying omit the video games, like I am not saying omit the video games, but if you're going to do something, you can't just say this, especially if they're not very popular in school, especially if they're not the it kid, and especially if it's 97 degrees outside for both of you. So maybe at the end of the day, like for me and my family, it's about 5:30, 6:30, usually about 5:30 or 6, we'll head to the beach. The crowd is now headed to restaurants or going home to eat. The drive over to the beach is not as crowded, and we'll enjoy the beach, and the water will be still lukewarm. The sun is not beating on you, and we'll utilize that. We'll bring, basically some games to play outdoors there, and have some fun. We'll do some activities, and maybe that is the key. And that's what I recommend to my clients. Make a plan. If you're going to do something, have a plan in action. If you in particularly want that kid off the video game, because you want to get on their level. You want to understand you're an adult. You might not be going through peer pressures at work, this, that, or otherwise. Not to say you don't have your own pressure, but you want to get on their level. And if not, if you want, plan a movie night, do this, do that. But do things, and it all comes down to, like a salesperson. If someone was yelling at you, buy this, buy this, are you going to buy it? No. It comes down to that presentation. Have a plan, have a structure. I know there are kids, but have it in a way to where you can communicate with your kids. So again, let them play their Fortnites. There's a lot of cool skins right now. Let them play, the new Marvel game. Another great game. Why are they choosing superheroes? Why? Think about it. They're building their identity. They're getting accepted. Someone's not seeing this person who's out of shape or this, that. They're connecting. And this helps to establish self-confidence. So this is the episode I wanted to talk about. Connect with some current events, see how they affect you, put in the comment box, see how this talk has affected you also, and reference the video games. Hey, I'm game. I'm down. No pun intended, but I'm game. If you have some good ways to connect in reference to any of all these subjects, please reach out. Please put in the comment box. And I do appreciate you in every way, because it helps me to help my clients. So if you would, please like us, please subscribe, and please share, because we have good messages to help everyone out there. So until next session, which will be this week, come out there until our next podcast. I'm used to saying sessions, but I look forward to tuning into each other again. Have a great day or evening wherever you are.